Well, I'd like you to meet Julie. Hey, Julie, how you doing?
I'm fine.
We're going to be doing a very interesting driveway project here. Why don't you tell us what you got in mind?
Well, we obviously had to do something with it. It's a real wreck now with all the potholes and the concrete falling apart. So we started looking at all the options. We looked at brick and we looked at cobblestones and that sort of thing. We wanted something kind of interesting to match the Spanish style of the house.
Right.
And we found this new method they call concrete stamping, where you can make concrete look like cobblestone or brick or Spanish tile. So we decided to go with that. It's a lot cheaper than doing the real thing.
So the contractors will be here tomorrow. They're going to start removing this existing driveway. We'll come back in a couple of days when they finish that and start the project. Well, quite a bit's happened since we were here a few days ago. Yesterday, the crews began by jackhammering out the old driveway. As it turns out, there was a bit of a hump in the ground right back here. So they dug that out, spread that dirt around, and then compacted that. This morning, they began spreading around this aggregate and have been compacting that. And right now, we're in the process of laying a header down because, as it turns out, the neighbors are going to take advantage of this opportunity and have a driveway put in right over here as well. Now, I'd like you to meet someone. This is Gary Price. Hey, Gary, how are you?
How you doing, Ron?
Gary's with Bay Area Concretes, and you're the one who's putting in the concrete today. This process is called what?
This is the Bowmanite process of coloring and imprinting concrete.
So we're going to be pouring concrete, actually sort of stamping it and coloring it to look like another material.
In this case, Mediterranean tile on the left side, and on the right side of the driveway will be a used cobblestone look.
Okay. Gary, it's really important to compact this, not only the soil, but this aggregate here too. Why is that?
Well, you need a good compacted aggregate base, Ron, so that the soil doesn't cave in underneath the slab, so to speak, later on. It will eventually settle on its own. So we'll get this compacted, then we'll put our rebar in on dobies, and we'll be ready to pour.
Now, Gary, this is an expansion joint material, right?
Yes, Ron, this is a fiberboard expansion joint material that's impregnated with asphaltic material. So it lasts a lot of years, and it allows the concrete to expand and contract as the weather warms up. The concrete expands, and then it contracts when the weather's cooler.
Okay. And you would use this any place you've got, what, two large slabs of concrete that are abutting each other?
That's right.
Or up against
a brick wall or a block wall or something like that.
Let's talk a little bit about forming. Now, what's going on right here? We're trying to replicate this existing curb and gutter right here.
Yeah, we need to do the transition here for the curb and gutter for the driveway approach. That's what we'll pour today.
Okay. Now, give me just a couple of basic tips here about building a form like this. Most of the lumber is 2 by
4, 2 by 6.
Okay.
And then we've got spacers in here to hold.
Right here.
Yeah, to hold the distances the same, you know.
So the stake really keeps the form from pushing out this way, and then this brace would keep these two forms from in an equal distance all the way down through through here.
Right.
Okay. So and then up here we've got another. This is actually going to be a sidewalk coming down through here, although it's going to have somewhat of the slope of the driveway. So this is the uphill edge of the sidewalk right here.
That's
and
right.
it's all of this that we're going to be pouring here in an hour or so, right?
Right. This is the portion that's on the city easement. So this is done to city standards.
Okay.
Then we do the colored work on the residence itself.
We can come over here and take a look too. Now what we decided, since we're going to be doing two driveways here, they're actually going to have different patterns in them and different colors.
That's right.
We're going to be creating a strip of concrete that's going to go right down the center here to divide this driveway from this one over here, and it'll be the same texture as the sidewalk.
That's right.
Okay. Now today we're going to be pouring this median strip right here that separates the two driveways and this sidewalk, gutter, and curb unit down here. Now we're going to be kind of matching the existing texture and joint pattern on the sidewalk, carried all the way across here and right up to this wall. Well, here we are in day 2 of our project. Now yesterday afternoon the crews finished up the gutter, curb, and sidewalk down here. And early this morning they began to put down some reinforcing steel, making sure that it was sitting up on some small blocks so that when the concrete dries, the reinforcing steel is actually in the center of the slab. A little later on, the truck arrived. In this case, we had a pumper also, and the concrete was pumped into getting at the top of the driveway. Then it was leveled using a long 2x4 or screed, and finally further leveled and smoothed using something called a bull float. So Gary, what's going on here now?
Well, we're now dusting a color hardener onto the surface, which is a mixture of Portland cement, silica sands, and desert mineral pigment. This will become an integral part of the surface and cause the slab to have a bright, long-lasting color.
Now, Gary, this is, again, we're using the bull float on this. What's happening here? It's definitely changing color quite a bit.
That's right, Ron. What he's doing now is he's working that surface to bring the water fully to the top. And at that point, you see the dry color is worked in thoroughly, and you're beginning to see what the color is going to look like in its finality.
Now, Gary, this is the stamping or imprinting process that's going on right now, right?
Yes, it is. These are the Bowmanite imprinting tools that we use for imprinting the concrete. You see they have a pattern and a texture built right into them. We apply a releasing agent to the surface so the tool doesn't stick to the top like cake frosting, and then we imprint, pull the tool off, and we've left the pattern and the texture on the surface.
Well, since you last saw this, we've gone ahead and poured the neighbor's driveway. It's a different color and a different pattern. And this is Belgian cobblestone, whereas Julie's driveway is in Mediterranean tile. Now, Gary, what does a surface like this cost?
These costs can run anywhere from $5 a square foot to $10, depending on the thickness, the size of the job, and the reinforcing, whether it's rebar or wire mesh.
And there are how many different patterns to choose from, something like this?
There's 80 or 90 patterns available to us. We have about 50 in our own shop.
Okay. And so people can kind of just look through a catalog and pick out the ones that they like.
We have a catalog they can look through for pattern and color. We also have photo albums that they can look at, or they can come to our shop and look at samples.
Okay. Listen, thank you very much for allowing us to be here and watch this process. It really was fascinating. I really enjoyed it. Well, there you go, Julie. That really looks nice. What do you think?
Oh, I think it looks terrific. Rather than just replacing the asphalt driveway, and I'm glad we looked into it and called Bay Area Concretes, because now we have something that really has improved the front of the house 100%. It has an old world look again.
Well, the benefits of tile, but it's one solid piece up there, and it really does add a lot to the front. Well, thanks a lot for letting us come by and kind of watch this as it goes through. And you probably recall how this looked when we began. Well, take another look at it now.